this call. The idea is to bring the project to life so that we actually can provide some broader context. And to that end, we've got some partners with us today who will be adding value to your propositions. They will explain what it is that they can provide. Obviously, there are quite a few questions and answers, and that's the primary purpose of the call today, to answer those questions. And you will have an opportunity to submit questions as we go through the chat. So as and when you have any thoughts, please submit them. Stacey behind the scenes is keeping an eye on them, and we will ensure that we address as many as we can during the 90 minutes ahead of us. The majority of that Q&A session will be at the end, so we'll set the scene in the first instance. Any questions that we are unable to address fully today, we will add to the FAQs that will be made available following the webinar. And also, just to let you know that today's meeting is being recorded, so that it will be available as well on the Shapes YouTube channel for anyone who misses it. So I think without further ado, I should probably introduce myself. My name's Ian Spiro. I'm the founder of the Agile Aging Alliance. Proud to be a partner in the Shapes project, which has been running now. We're into our 4th year. And I'm going to introduce you at this point to Michael Cook, who's the co-principal investigator of the project at Maynooth University. He's also director of the Edward Kennedy Institute for Conflict Intervention. So I think we can work our way through any difficulties that we might come across. So Michael, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. So I'm just going to give a very quick overview of the Shapes project. I believe that's where we are in the agenda, Ian, isn't that right?
That is correct. You are going to give an overview of your project.
The project, great. Let me just bring that up. Update driver. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, we're in a good place, I believe so. All right.
You want to go to full screen, Michael? Because I can
trying that now. Yes. Okay, we should be in full screen now.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Ian. So I'm Michael Cook. I'm the co-lead with Mac McLaughlin on the Shapes project, which is coordinated by Maynooth University. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what the project is about, and then we can discuss more later on in terms of what the open call is, what the objectives of it are, and how it's supposed to work. But this is just some background to give you a flavor of what we're doing in the project, what its overall aims are. I'm the, as Ian mentioned, head of psychology at Maynooth University. Shameless plug, one of the top 150 psychology departments in the world, according to the Times Higher Education. So always worth putting that in there. So we're very proud of that achievement. And also Edward Kennedy Institute director, but of more relevance to Shapes, I'm also a member of the Assisting Living and Learning Institute at Maynooth University, where the Shapes project is housed, well, between the psychology department and the All Institute. Okay, so what is Shapes? Smart and healthy aging through people engaging in supportive systems. So the vision of Shapes, which is an innovation action funded by the European Commission's Horizon 2020 program. It's about building, piloting and deploying a large-scale EU standardized open platform for facilitating long-term healthy and active aging and maintenance of high quality of life in the community. So it's responding to a call from the European Commission to innovate and come up with solutions that would support the aging process as the European population is aging, to remain more active and more independent through the use of technology, and mediated by a core platform that is integrating data from various different other devices that can be used in the home or in a care facility or in the community, and to have this as an open platform that would allow new and emerging digital solutions to be integrated and to be made available to various actors, care recipients, care providers, health services, etc., through the Shapes marketplace. So you can see some indication of scale there. We're a large project, 36 organizations, 210 personnel, more or less, across 14 European countries. And it has been the largest Irish-led EU-funded health project to date. So we're looking at, yes, the development of the core integrated platform. But what is it integrating? It's integrating the Shapes digital technologies, including assistive robots, e-health sensors and wearables, Internet of Things, enabled devices and mobile applications. So these are things that would be employed at the point of use, gathering data, feeding back analytics to individuals, members of the public, their care providers, and other carers, informal and formal carers as well. And this is part of a Shapes ecosystem, which is a network of relevant users and key stakeholders working together to scale up platform and digital technologies. So we're not looking at Shapes as a, solution for a collection of individuals, but it's also a part of a larger ecosystem where you can start to see the emergence of, let's say, aggregated data providing health intelligence potentially on things like epidemiology, things like best practice about interventions that are working, interventions that are adding value in different kinds of contexts. So as a project, we're not just developing a platform and that technological ecosystem, but we're also developing the capability to provide at a higher level, more strategic level, the ability to utilize data strategically and provide that kind of health intelligence. A key component of this as well is the Shapes marketplace, because what we are very much interested in doing is providing a mechanism whereby not just the existing digital solution providers that we have in the project and that we have recruited through previous open calls can be made available to the care recipients and the care providers and so on, but also allowing for new providers, new solution providers to access that marketplace, present their products, and have that available to the customers, basically basically members of the public who are part of the overall Shapes network. So we think of Shapes, like I said before, the Shapes ecosystem is mediated or facilitated by the platform and the technology, but in reality, it is intended to be a network of varied and diverse participants, some of which are individuals, some of which are organizations and agencies and so on, and some of which include solution providers. So by participating in the Shapes network, you gain access to that Shapes market. So this is what we're working on. We have developed the marketplace and now we're in the process of building up that network. And then the Shapes recommendations is about what we learn from the process of integrating the digital solutions, trialing them in the pilot sites, which I'll get to shortly, but we have a number of thematically differentiated pilot sites around Europe. And what we're trying to develop here is knowledge about the value that various solutions can offer into various contexts of use, physical contexts, cultural contexts, geographical, the nature of the care facility, the nature of the reference site that we're talking about. We're looking at some facilities are care facilities, some of them are communities, some of them are hospitals, and some of the solutions will be more relevant to different contexts. So what we're trying to produce is a set of recommendations that will guide people who are looking to procure solutions, people who want to purchase them, people who want to invest in them, and people who want to supply them, to be more informed about what the market actually needs, what it requires, and what it might need in the future. So to provide some intelligence towards both towards the marketplace as well as at policy level. If I can move this on. So to give you an idea of shapes and numbers, 48 months, as I mentioned before, the scale in terms of staff, organizations, and countries. We're engaging 2,000 older adults across 15 pilot sites. We have 10 work packages, which range from the social, scientific, and clinical, all the way through the tech development from the work package, the platform development and the digital solutions integration. We also have the organizational context being looked at. So one work package is looking at the experiential aspects of care recipients. Another work package is looking at the organizational frameworks in which care is delivered. Then we have the development of the technologies. We have the ethics and the legal aspects, which this isn't just a project compliance issue, but this is actual research into looking at how shape solutions intersect with the current regulatory framework. And we're also looking at, we have a dedicated workshop on business exploitation, market shaping, and ultimately the development and operation of the marketplace. And associated with that is a governance model and the governance structures that we're developing for the project. So this governance model would be of relevance more to the network that we're establishing than just the consortium. So what Shapes is intended to be is more than just a project, more than just a consortium, but it's intended to be that broader network. Overall budget of around 21 million euros in funding. Most of that EU funding and some of that is matched. But the vast majority of it is EU funding, and 8 reference sites of the European Innovation Partnership on active and healthy aging. And you can see the geographical distribution of that here. So we're represented quite well all throughout Europe, north, south, east, and west. And all of these environments have different backgrounds culturally, economically, and structurally in terms of how healthcare is provided. So we're not looking for a one-size-fits-all, but we're looking for flexible solutions that can be adapted locally for local needs, but are still working within the overall Shapes framework in terms of standards, interoperability, and the general ethos of what Shapes is intended to be. Just some ideas of the kind of Shapes technologies that we're using. Not to go through it exhaustively, but just to give you a flavor. And this is not the exclusive set of technology categories that we're looking at. So the marketplace should be open to any kind of new solution that addresses an issue that is of relevance to the care recipients and their ecosystem, if you like. But we're looking at everything from conversational assistance, so voice layer assistant, biometrics, face recognition, emotion recognition, communication and accessibility tools, activity recognition and well-being assessment. We're looking at the role of robots as well, and the value that they can potentially offer. But also on going back to the recommendations point that I made earlier on, with robotics, we're not just looking at what robotics can do, but also informing the marketplace about where robotics needs to go to further deliver that value. Clinical decision support systems, again using health intelligence, both local and global, to assist in decision making support, I should say. Cognitive stimulation and rehabilitation, IoT and big data, health and well-being platforms, predictive modeling, and security. And at the center there is a contingency we've had to deal with, has been the integration of dedicated COVID-19 solutions as well. So working those into our pilots. The SHAPES pilot themes include a smart living environment for healthy aging at home. So focus on the home environment as a locus for receiving care, and especially based on the social scientific work that we've been doing, trying to understand what the key issues are, the key constraints, difficulties with providing care at home. But also we have the in-home and community-based care as well. So looking at the broader context of the social aspect of care and care receipt. Then we have medicine control and optimization. So looking at how solutions can be used to manage and monitor the use of medicine control in care facilities and also at home. Then we have the psychosocial and cognitive stimulation and promoting well-being, and looking at promoting activity, physical activity, which stimulates both the physical and psychosocial health. So psychological well-being, but also in a social context, so looking at solutions that facilitate and support that. Then caring for older individuals with neurodegenerative diseases, which is a more specific clinical issue. And then the physical rehabilitation at home, and cross-border health exchange health data exchange supporting mobility and accessibility for older individuals. So another key issue is looking at how the exchange of data can be facilitated and implemented for allowing things like expanding the data set across borders, but also facilitating things like benchmarking and so on. So that's a flavor of the SHAPES pilot themes, and all our digital solutions have been present within these pilots so far, including open call solutions. But now what we're moving on to here is the development of the SHAPES marketplace and working with open call solution providers in terms of making those solutions available through the marketplace. So the focus is shifting from demonstrating those in the context of pilots, and now demonstrating the operation of the marketplace. If I can move this forward. So that's basically it from me. Those are our contact and social media details. So thank you all for your attention, and look forward to the rest of the event. Back to you, Ian.
Thank you very much, Michael. As you can see, it's quite a complex project, lots and lots of moving parts, and we've learnt a lot as we've moved on. And what we're trying to do with this open call is to provide an opportunity to small businesses, entrepreneurs, and indeed researchers within universities who have got some ideas that are at a conceptual stage that they would like to test out, and maybe, you know, it's disruptive. We're looking for some really interesting, challenging concepts, not just along the lines that Michael has shown that we're already focusing on, but we're open to new ideas that cut across health and social care and involve social innovation and social engineering. We're also open to support solutions that are at a relatively early stage, let's say TRL, technological readiness level 6, 7, i.e. not ready for market, that by involving yourself in this project and getting funded, you could actually move it up one, at least technological, one TRL level. And that's quite unusual from a grant-funded project perspective. I'm going to introduce you to Artur Krakowski, who is a master engineer and research project manager at Intracom Telecom. He's also the Shapes Open Call project manager, and he is effectively sitting over this project and indeed previous open calls, and he has the responsibility to be very diligent in terms of the European regulations that we must obviously adhere to in terms of this competition, but also the fact that I'm trying to be particularly flexible in the approach and as open as we can possibly be. So, Artur, without further ado, are you there? Can't see you. I'm not going to read your slides. Aha!
Hello, Ian. First of all, sorry to be a little bit to the side because my laptop has a camera on the side. First of all, let me introduce you to the more administrative part of the open call. I am the Shapes Open Call Manager. I also represent Intracom Telecom. So we are partners responsible for technological platform in the project and also for open calls. So let's let's go through the important parts which are relevant to applicants. First of all, there are lots of questions regarding what are the eligibility criteria in our open calls. As you well know, it's the third open call. We already went through the first phase and the second phase. We have few projects already running. Actually, we are going to be closing very soon. They provided us new digital solutions to the platform. So now we are looking for expanding the portfolio of solutions which are going to be included into the marketplace. So this is what Michael was saying before. So regarding who can apply for the calls, we apply the standard eligibility criteria in Horizon 2020. So any organization and coming from countries which are eligible under normal Horizon 2020 program, they are eligible also for application for our open call. Regarding countries, we include all the European Union member states, including associated countries. We listed here those which we lifted up from the Horizon 2020 website, but just to be absolutely on the safe side, please double check this at the link which I provided here, which provides the latest information regarding the list of associated countries. Regarding eligible organizations, obviously any organization established in eligible countries is eligible for funding. We require organizations to be registered with participant portal and have the participant identification code called PIC number in order to apply. Since we are bound by the Horizon 2020 funding rules, we need to make sure that such organizations are eligible for funding, and this is verified by European Commission. This is why this PIC number is essential for us to be able to provide you the funding. At the time of signing the contract, your organization will need to be validated before we can transfer the funds to you. So please be diligent about this because this might take a little bit of time. We welcome proposals from sole applicants, which means single organizations need to apply. But understanding that you might need additional support from another organizations, we welcome also subcontracting, but this needs to be properly justified in the proposal. What is going to be the scope of subcontracting, why it is needed, and standard information, which is usually done in European projects. Physical persons are not eligible for funding in open call. We welcome only organizations which are let's say, commercial organization or legally established in the respective countries. The important questions which are coming very often is what happens with the UK organizations. So we confirm that according to what we received from European Commission and also from Innovate UK participants remain eligible for European funding in Horizon 2020, and as we also understand, also in Horizon Europe. So this is confirming that UK organization can apply for our open call. So let's go through the application procedure, how to practically apply. We launched the call on the 16th of December, and we have the submission deadline 3 months after, which means on the 17th of March. We are going to go through the evaluation of proposals according to various criteria, which I'm going to provide you later. We expect to have winners announced on the 1st of April, after which we are going to go through the contractual process. So it's going to be a negotiation period when you're going to have the legal department of the coordinator contacting the winning applicant, and it's going to be a signature of sub-grant agreement. So we expect the agreements to be signed around the 21st of April, and we would like the projects to start not later than the 1st of May, because considering a 6-month period, we would like these projects to finish alongside shapes, so we can report on the outcomes of these projects and the integration to marketplace in our final deliverables from the project. Now, the steps are that first you need to register yourself as an applicant for the open call. We provided the link to this registration on the open call page of the Shapes Pro portal. You downloaded the template of the application, and then you submit this application by email, both to myself as the open call manager and also to representative of the coordinator, and the emails are provided and here and also in the information provided on the open call page. So first of all, let's go through a few questions which have been commonly coming up from lots of applicants or potential applicants. Is the call only open to SMEs? So the answer is no. We are in particular welcoming the SMEs, considering that this type of calls, they are very beneficial for them. But any organization which is eligible for Horizon 2020 funding is welcome to apply and is also eligible. What is the funding mechanism? Open calls, it's a little bit different from standard funding. The form of funding is a lump sum, which means that we are giving the certain amount of money. We do not require the legal proofs of how the money has been spent. But we require that you provide not justification, but explanation how this money is going to be used in the proposal. Although we do not require any proofs of the cost which we have spent later in the project, we need to make you aware that European Commission reserves the right to request this type of information. So in case that you are a winner in our calls and you are going to get this funding, please make sure that you have some justifications kept in your records, just in case the European Commission asks for it. It has not happened yet to us, but it is theoretically possible. So another question was coming, how is the funding paid to the participants? In the previous calls, the standard approach in the contracts was that we pay it in 3 tranches. 20% is pre-financing, which is signed immediately after the signing of the contract. Then 40% mid-term, subject to a successful review of the progress sometime in the middle of the project. And 40% on completion of all work which has been agreed in the contract. Therefore, since we aim to have this mid-term payment, we require or ask that you specify under what conditions we can, or under what, let's say, premises we will be able to verify that you have achieved this mid-term progress in the project. So provide some milestones or mid-term deliverables or some kind of proof of the results produced in your proposal. So against this, we can verify and pay you this mid-term payment. Obviously, the specific dates of these payments can be also negotiated with the coordinator when you come to the contract agreements. And now, where you can find more information about the shape components, this was another question. We contacted the Commission. We asked them for preliminary opening of some of the deliverables because we are still under the review. So we just managed to get the deliverable D.4.2 allowed to be published. So you can find this deliverable as the extra deliverable on our portal. Both deliverable 4.1 and 4.2 gives information regarding both the architecture used in the shapes and also about components used in the shapes and how you can integrate with them. Additional information can be also found on the GitHub, which we already have in the shapes, which provides information regarding interfaces and links to different components already developed in the shapes platform. Another question, do you need to validate your solutions in the pilots? No. In OpenCall 3, we will not evaluate your solutions in the pilots because pilots are already finishing off. So it's really not feasible for your solutions to be integrated in the pilots. But if you have possibility of evaluating your solutions with your own users or any other organizations, this is going to be welcomed and it's going to contribute to the highest score in the impact criterion. So by all means, if you have such possibilities, please do this. Now, what is the overall concept underpinning the project? Some people were asking this. Obviously, we are we have two requirements. The primary requirement is that your solutions, or digital solutions we call it, we are integrating to marketplace in Shapes. But since Shapes is the system which promotes interoperability of different digital solutions, any attempt to integrate with other components in our platform, which stimulate the exchange of data in an interoperable way, is going to be beneficial for you and it's going to raise your scores under the excellence criteria. So please have a look at the architecture. Whether your system is producing or manages the IoT data or medical data, you can use different pathways and use different components. So if you do this, it's going to be much more, your proposals are going to be scored much better. Now, before I go into the issue of IP, because this was one of the very important questions which lots of partners have been asking, potential applicants have been asking, let me explain two common terms, the background and foreground. In Horizon 2020, which is following up from FP7, the background is considered as any data, information, or know-how which have been brought into the project, which have been produced before you start the project or OpenCall project in this case. While foreground is anything which has been produced during the project. Obviously, we understand that some of the things which are going to be producing in the project are not going to be open for, let's say, open access, as we call it. And this is going to be protected confidential information. So in your proposals, please make sure that you clarify exactly which part of work is going to be considered as confidential and not openly releasable, and which part of the work is going to be funded by this project and is potentially open for dissemination. So let me explain it a little bit better way. First of all, lots of applicants have been asking, do we ask for providing us the source codes of your solutions or and let's say confidential information? So the answer is no, we do not ask for this type of things. Although, whenever you develop, let's say, API which is going to provide the interfaces to the shapes, or any examples of how you link with some components of the Shapes platform, this we would like to have open, which means that other developers from other companies would be able to integrate with your solution. But we do not ask about the internal parts of your solution. Your solution is your own property, and we do not ask for any kind of opening of your confidential part of your work. So work which you're going to be producing on the integration with our system, we expect to be opened under the open access or Creative Commons license approach, which still protects your intellectual property as the authors of the solution, but you will have a choice also which Creative Commons license to use for opening it to third parties, so they can also integrate with your solutions. This is also beneficial for you because solutions in general, commercial solutions, the more closed they are, the less attractive they are for other developers and other companies. And the more you stimulate the openness and integration of your solution, the more customers you can also capture. So it's also in your own benefit. Now, the evaluation procedure. We are going to go through various checks. First of all, we're going to check the admissibility, which is going to be done by the open call management team, which means if the proposal is complete, if it's accessible, if it has all the sections and so on. Then eligibility, obviously one of the important things, if it's the single applicant or consortium, if it's a consortium, this is not going to be available. Establishing the eligible country, the legal form of the applicant, and this is going to be verified by European Commission through the PIC number. Then, if it's out of scope, which means if it responds to the call or it's not responding to the call, and then information regarding the content. Very important is the number of pages, because if you're going to have more pages, obviously it will be unfair advantage to other applicants. So we have very strict requirements on number of pages, and the excess pages is going to be ignored. Evaluations are going to be done by 3 independent reviewers, and then the proposals are going to be ranked in the ranking list from the highest score to the lowest score. With standard way as in all the European, funded calls, which means also that if there is equal total score, then the impact is going to be the differentiating factor for the second, let's say, filtering. And we are going to be funding the proposals from the top of the ranking list until we exhaust the budget. Just to remind you, the budget for this open call is 550,000 euros. So we'll be expecting to fund, depending on the budget requested by the applicants, around 10 to 15 projects. We are using the 3 standard evaluation criteria as in all European funded calls, which means excellence, impact, and implementation. Excellence refers to, first of all, how clear the objectives are, how they are fitting to the requirements of the call. Obviously, as I said before, the primary objective is integration of the Shapes marketplace. And the secondary is integration with different other components of the platform to promote interoperability with other solutions already integrated in the framework. On the impact, we ask for respecting the impacts which are also, promoted by Shapes, and this type of impacts you can find in the description of the topic under which the Shapes has been funded, and any other impacts which you can promote yourself through dissemination, creation of new capacities, or opening the market, which also most likely is going to be compliant with your own individual company's strategies for marketing your own solutions and gathering the potential customers. Implementation refers mainly to the way how you expect to produce the results in your project, which means effectiveness of your work plan, the timing of the deliverable of results, using specific management procedures, if you have the risks and mitigation actions properly done, if the tasks which you have anticipated, they are fitting to each other and they show how you can lead to the completion of your work, and planning of deliverables, and also making sure that there is a way for us to justify the midterm payments of your funding, and also under what conditions we are going to be able to verify that you have completed your project objectives. Interpretation of the scores, it's classical, like all the European funded projects, between 0 and 5, from 0, which means that proposal fails the criteria, to 5, which is excellent. So we're going to be using exactly the same type of scales. So the maximum that you can get in your proposal is 15. Obviously, the minimum is 0. And we are going to be funding from the top of the scale, which means those who are scoring the highest number of points. So this is for everything for the time being from me. We can go through the further questions later. So thank you. Over to you, Jan.
Thank you very much, Artur. I'm sure there's some questions that will arise from what you said. If you would like to share them, Artur will be addressing those questions towards the end of the webinar. One thing I would like to just flag up, I picked up on what Arthur was saying, which is in relation to the number of projects that we're looking to fund. We have advertised this particular open call as providing 50 to 100,000 euros per project. So that will actually define the number of projects that we can fund. There's a slight difference there because we are looking at projects that are substantive in their own right. So as a next stage, I'd like to introduce you to Nicholas Astirakakis, who is the technical team leader of the Telecommunication Systems Laboratory at Hellenic Mediterranean Universities, a SHAPES partner, and Nicholas is the SHAPES Marketplace Technical Manager. So he's got some observations and advice in terms of the integration. And Nicholas, if you could go full screen with your slide, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Nicholas Styrakakis, and I am Associate Researcher, as previously mentioned, for the Pacify Lab. Today, I'm going to present you the Shapes Marketplace. First of all, welcome to this open call from our side also. So the Shapes Marketplace has a lot of potentials for all partners, and we can share with you a lot of features today that they are available on the Shapes Marketplace. So through the marketplace, you can share your products, services, advertise your products, and also have data available for purchase on the marketplace. So now I will go through a lot of features that are available for your products and services in the next slides. First of all, we have the documentation that is available as a feature on every product and every service. You can upload their PDF files. You can create your own markup presentation of the documentation in the format of what you see is what you get. This is standardized and it's available on the marketplace. Next, you can add any video that you would like to share with your customers. You can provide a URL for a video. Please note that YouTube videos are not allowed and are not supported to the marketplace. But you can add any video in any format you would like to present on the marketplace. Next, we have the images. You can add your product images. You can short your product images. And this is a preview of how it will appear on the product list and how it will appear on the info page of the product. Another feature and very important for every product is the user's feedback. So we enabled the user's feedback for every customer after purchasing a product. So this will limit the false reviews and bots and everything that may result in a bad review on purpose on a product. Additionally, customers can contact us via email with this contact form you can see on the right, and they can share their comments, their feedback about the marketplace and or any specific product. Moreover, we can add purchasable licenses and files on the marketplace. You can share your links if you want for someone to download a file or a binary or an executable from your servers, but you can also add it to the Shapes marketplace. You can add also licensing via a licensing server, or you can upload a static license on demand. So next is the process of purchasing a product. We limit it in only 4 steps. You add your product to the cart, you navigate to the cart, you can see the cart products in a list, and you can purchase a product or many products at the same time by entering your card information on a specific component. All transactions are secured, and we are fully integrated with the Stripe card module for further security. Last but not least, from the features, we have some security mechanisms and the user locale and accessibility. So users will be able to change the language or the coloring from the whole Shapes marketplace to their preference, and we support many also colors for impaired persons specifically. So the security mechanisms are mostly on login. We have email validation for users. We have a lockdown in case someone will try to log in with wrong credentials multiple times. And also we have the administration, and which can manage users on real time and allow access, deny access, also validate users manually, because in order to make a purchase, you need to be validated completely. You need to add your address, you need to add your profile details and billing details, so you can get a product from the marketplace. So for administration, we have also administration of products and services. You can check product details, modify details that a product owner may not be able to modify, and they reach the customer support. And the administrators are able to see and change whatever is accepted by GDPR also, and it is compliant. Moreover, the administrators with specific access, and they can moderate files, and they can check for prohibited content at any time in case they are noticing some prohibited usage of the Shapes marketplace. That's all from us. Thank you for your attention. Later we can have questions by the end.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. That was really helpful. And Artur, you've got your hand up, so I will cut to you now. What was that?
I will just anticipate a question which probably applicants are going to have. If they have to submit their solutions to the Shapes framework and deploy it there. Not really, because most of digital solutions in Shapes, they are operating from remote sites, which are hosted by each of the provider of digital solutions. So the deployment of the marketplace actually creates a kind of link to your solutions, while the communications for the components of the Shapes platform are done through web services, which are pretty easy to be implemented, and we provide examples of this type of interfaces on the GitHub. Some of them were also detailed in our deliverables, and once you sign the contract with us, you're gonna have also access to much more detailed information regarding how, in practice, to do this type of interfacing. Unfortunately, this kind of deliverables, they are confidential, so we cannot open them at this moment to applicants. Thank you.
Thank you, Artur. There was a question in the Q&As. Where will my solution or product be deployed? And it's a good one, and it's actually particularly relevant in the context of our next speaker, Timo Satonen, who is the project manager of the Vitalize European Network of Living Labs. And the point here is that we are looking to extend our reach. So it may be that you already have users associated with whatever proposition you want to put forward. That's fantastic. The more the merrier. So we're looking for any solution to be evaluated. However, we've also added Timo to the mix as a means of going out beyond the existing ecosystem. So Timo, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you. Can you see the slides now?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm here representing another Horizon project. It's Vitalize. So basically, I have two kind of an offerings for you. In a way, once you get the money from the SAPES open call, you can spend it with us. But also, in a way, we will just today open it another open call, which is also another opportunity for you to acquire funding for your co-creation and testing activities. I just give you a brief interview what Vitalize is all about. So we are providing transnational and virtual access to 17 different Living Lab infrastructures. And we also doing this project, we are doing a couple different joint research activities. But also, if you are more interested about that, how the Living Lab kind of a way of working will help you to, to develop your solution. We also provide training, and in summer, 8th and 9th of June, there will be a summer school where you can kind of become a more experienced Living Lab researchers. But we are also kind of harmonizing the framework of doing work with the Living Lab approach, and we also have some ICT tools and infrastructures to do. But maybe everybody is not familiar what is a Living Lab. I just give you a brief overview about that. So it's basically an open innovation ecosystems where we are actually engaging multiple stakeholders, because especially in the healthcare environment, there's typically a lot of stakeholders involved, policymakers, hospital people, the private companies developing the solutions, patients and their families and so forth. But first and foremost, the Living Lab approach is all about user-centric innovation process. We engage the actual users who will be using the solutions in order to get valuable feedback and insights that are the solutions actually working and what kind of new features and additions should be there in order to make your solutions as good as possible. And because we are covering all the phases of the innovation process, you can see the below the different tier levels. But we are working, of course, in a different environments. Like once you have your solutions is more mature, we can do the testing and co-creation in the actual operational environment. When your solution is kind of somewhere between, like having a prototype phase, more advanced prototypes and so forth, we can do the testing in relevant environments, which are kind of simulating the actual operational environments, but also in a way already when there's only like an idea about your solution and you just want to be verifying that if there's actually a need in the marketplace, what are the current problems with the different user groups. So we can do also that already from the TRL1 until the TRL9. But it's all about the Living Lab process is an iterative process, because as many of you know, when developing your solutions, it will take multiple iterations in order to make it right. So that's kind of the brief overview what we are doing, and depending on which phase of the innovation process you are, we are a bunch of methods and approaches and tools that what we are using in order to find out the correct information to help you to improve your solutions. And so basically, what does this mean? That once you get the funding from the SAPES call, and or when you are, the writing your application for that one, you have to be thinking about that what kind of development methods you're actually using. So I'm just saying that these Vitalized Living Labs could be your partner with that application, and you could write that, okay, I will be doing testing this in Finland or in Spain or whatever country, and doing collaboration with this kind of an stakeholder groups, because all of the living labs will have the access to different stakeholder groups and infrastructures within their country, because we are all the time collaborating with different throughout the different projects with the different stakeholder groups. So now coming back to the open call that what we are launching, we already had 2 open calls, and now is our final 3rd open call is going to be opening. I opened today. So there's a possibility to access the 17 different infrastructures. So basically that's offered through the 9 different living labs in the 7 different countries. So probably there's a place for you if you want to be doing a research. And this, our timeline is a bit different than the SAPES timeline. So our first cutoff will be end of the April, and the results for that submissions, that if those people are getting the funding, will come at the end of the June, and the actual transnational access period will start on the September or January, depending on which of the cutoffs you are able to do. But this doesn't limit that once you are doing, for example, this SAPES call, there's also possibilities to do, the earlier the activities if you are providing funding for the living labs. So what we are covering in here is that the maximum period of the access throughout this Vitalized open call is 30 days. And it's typically like teams from 1 to 5 person can join in here. It can be fully in person. So basically you come to Finland or whatever country that the living lab is operating, or it could be partly remote. Most typically it happened in a way that there will be a kind of an online telcos between us before you come, in order to set up the research objectives and how we actually doing and what you want and so forth. Or it's also possible to do the fully remote. And basically academic researchers, industrial researchers, living lab practitioners, entrepreneurs, master students, all of those, they can apply in here. So you don't have to have necessarily the company ID number or so forth. Even the researchers could be doing that. Travel expenses, what we are covering, maximum 500 for 1 round trip, and we provide 100 euros for substances and housings. And there could be some variations for these ones depending on how many people are actually applying. But what is most important is we provide the free of charge support to actually conduct the research projects. So you don't have to be paying anything for the actual research activities, and you get the money in order to come to the local living lab if you want to visit in here. We have more information available in the Vitalized open call info pages, and you can see the link in here. And as I was mentioning, that if you want to know more about the living labs, we will be arranging this summer school in Bilbao between 8th and 9th of June 2023. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Teemu. And it's worth pointing out as well that whilst the funding period for the SHAPES projects is 6 months, we obviously anticipate that these projects will be sustainable and will have a commercial life beyond our period. What we're looking at is being able to report during the SHAPES period, but the beauty of connecting with Teemu's work is if you were to apply for both and you were to win both, then there is a natural extension for you to further test your winning solution within the European network. The other thing I just want to point out, it's slightly selfish, but from a UK specific point of view, and I know we've got some UK partners on this call, and we've not really had too much of an opportunity in recent years to fully engage at a European level. Here is an opportunity to do so, and Teemu's network is fantastic and is open to UK researchers and UK SMEs. So I think that's something very important to bear in mind. Did you want to?
Yeah, I could
anything
highlight.
like that, Teemu?
Yeah, the highlight. I think that the Vitalize project is all about that. Throughout these open calls, we've been kind of harmonizing and developing approach in a way that it would be as easy as possible for the companies and researchers to do this kind of transnational research. It's kind of, and I've been always referring in a way that we want to do it as easy as possible, to like going to the McDonald's and you are buying a certain burger and the meal and whatever. So it doesn't matter that which country you go, you would be understanding it. If I buy a concept test or if I buy this or that or testing, you would be having kind of a common understanding between us that what you're actually buying. And the big thing is here is also that once we are measuring, for example, the user feedback or the user experience about your solutions, and once the living labs and the researchers are using the similar kind of scales to measure the impact of your solutions, so then there will be a kind of a comparison data. So you could be comparing the information of your results against some other let's say similar or situations in order to understand that how good you actually are comparing to some other solutions. Okay, that was all from me. Yeah.
And just to add to that, that the commonality is really important in terms of having a potential for scaling, and we're working together towards development of a new ISO standard that takes this on board. Arta, you had your hand up, but you have your hand up.
Yes, it's just a word of warning, because if applicants are going to apply for both open call projects and subject that they are winning both and the timelines they overlap, there is a risk of so-called double funding. Therefore, I recommend to applicants that in case that they plan to apply also for the Living Labs under Vitalize project, and the time schedule of the open call the projects in the shapes is going to overlap Vitalize project, that you describe what the funding from the shapes is going to be used for, and what the funding from the Vitalize project is going to be used for, and that these two actions, they do not overlap. So you don't get the money for the same activity from both projects.
Yeah, thank you very much for adding that. Going to introduce you to Richard Harding, who is the Business Development Manager at the Hartree Centre for Science and Technologies Facilities Council in the UK. We've been talking for quite some time now about how STFC can add value in terms of helping an SME and indeed a research organization to make their proposition more sustainable. So we're delighted to have STFC join us on this call. And Richard, if you would kindly tell us what you have in mind. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I've dusted off my European suit this morning, having previously done AAL calls and Horizon 2020 Agile Aging. So I'm delighted to be here. Hopefully you can all see my screen now.
Yep.
So I was just going to kind of spend 5 minutes explaining where we fit and what we would like to do to support. So most of you will probably know UKRI has now come together as one organisation. So you're talking about all of the 7 research councils coming together with £8 billion worth of public money going into science, basically. And what we're trying to do is any kit that's too big to go on one university site, like particle accelerators or giant telescopes, that's the kind of thing that we build and we operate. And that includes things like supercomputers. So we have the largest supercomputer in the country. We also, when working with the Finnish supercomputers for Teemu's knowledge, I think I might be over there next month. We have the largest deep neural network in the country, and we have the only Atos quantum learning machine in the country. So where do we fit? So we have a campus technology hub on site here and the Hartree Centre. You can follow the money flow through BAYS, UKRI, down to the Science and Technology Facilities Council and down to us here at Hartree and Campus Technology Hub. So what is our offer? So it's two things. It's world-class facilities and an ecosystem that includes two things, really. So on the left-hand side, we're currently sat in the Campus Technology Hub. So we can offer 3D printing and prototyping support, generally from TRL level 3 up to 7. If you want to build a prototype in VR, we can help you with that. If you're thinking about manufacturing whatever it is that you're building, again, we can help you with linking to people that you might need to know. And we also have a living lab demonstrator offer here where you can bring your kit down, kind of wire it up, and you can bring people to see it. On the digital side, we do applied digital R&D. So we build 150 proof of concepts a year cross-sectorally. So the offer is us having a look at your code and figuring out, is it scalable, helping you with strategic work like digital roadmaps or interoperability, and access to high-performing computers or access to AI. So the access to HPC and AI is pay-as-you-go. So literally, you can pay as you go on supercomputers. You don't need to buy or build your own. If you wanted to get in touch, myself and Emmanuel will be here to support.
Yeah, Richard, could you give some examples of how you could add specific value? So if I'm an SME and I'm thinking, the question is, why would I want to engage with you?
Yeah, so we are public sector and we just do innovation. So that can be unusual. We generally operate in the middle TRLs space. So we're not here to compete with universities, but generally we go from 3 to 7, 8-ish. So we're here to do that. And we're generally here to wrap scaffolding around what you're trying to do. So for example, we've got 150 digital experts in my building. 50% of their time is doing fundamental digital R&D, but 50% of their time is working with industry. So we work with all the big boys in Rolls-Royce, Procter & Gamble, all of the big companies, but we also do a lot of work with SMEs. And what we're trying to do is to support you to take your product as far as you can. So it might be just literally one step along that TRL level. And you might need some advice on an interoperability roadmap, for example, or you might say, well, is my code scalable? Or can somebody help make sure that the app we built works? That kind of thing. In terms of prototyping a physical device, we have 3D printers here, including metal 3D printers, so we can help you figure out how you keep iterating your designs very, very quickly and support you with some very grumpy engineers who go, we've thought about doing it like this.
So in other words, if I do have a proposition which is early stage and I think it's got great potential, you can help to assess if you as an organization believe it's got what it takes, and if you do, then you would be open to partnering with an applicant to this competition, and in so doing you would come up with a bespoke set of added value that you could offer depending on what you think of the the opportunity. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. We've got space here and we've got the 3D printer, we've got the physical prototype support mechanisms where it might be, we help you look at it, dust it down and see what we can do to help. Or you might want to bring clients to come and see it in an environment, so we can do that kind of thing. Or we could write you a report. And then the other side of that, the digital side, you might again want some support around that digital roadmap, or you might want some interoperability support, or you might want us to write you some code. So all of them
Right.
things are on the table.
So it's a validation piece, and I understand that you don't have to be physically present in your area, or indeed in the UK. You are open to working with European partners in this project. So bottom line is, if one of the prospective applicants on this call wants to share with you what they're doing, so you can give due consideration, can we get your contact details back up on the screen, please? Just seeing if you're alert. You weren't expecting that. There you go.
That's just it's great. I
So,
work at a supercomputing center, but I can't work Teams.
Basically, they should contact you, richard.harding@stfc.ac.uk.
Yeah, so I'm doing the digital stuff. Emmanuel's doing the physical stuff. So we'll work together on these.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
So that is it in terms of the people we have lined up for you today. But now we're going to address some of the questions that we've received. I'm just going to cherry pick one which is in front of me, which is summarizing topic of the call: is any technological service that supports health in elder people and can be integrated into shapes. Is that right? I think it's any technologically enabled solution that supports health and or care. So it's really important that we're taking account of health and social care in this process. And there was another one. Oh yes, what are we expected to provide under section 5, which is ethics? And that's a very good question. And we do have, I believe, Sari Sarlio Cintola, who is the Shapes ethic manager, on this call. And she's not expecting me, but I got you there, from Finland. And Sari's been investing a huge amount of time over the past few years looking at the whole ethics and privacy aspects of this space. So Sari, how would you respond to that question, please?
So the section 5 is based on the ethical self-assessment, which is a template. There is a link to that template, and there are several questions regarding to the participation of humans, processing of personal data, and so on and so on. And the idea is that you will answer those questions, and then if your answer is yes to a specific question, then you have to clarify it more in detail in the section 5. For example, how you recruit participants, how do you process the data on your solution, and so on. But basically, if you start to work with the ethical self-assessment, it automatically shows you what you should write down in that section 5. This is shortly. One more thing which I would like to emphasize is that when we are talking about ethics, it can be related to your research process, for example, collecting consents from the participants, but it can also be connected to your solutions which you are developing under the shapes. For example, one key issue is, for example, the processing of personal data, how it will be done, and how you ensure that you are compliant with the GDPR. You are muted.
No, I'm not. At least I don't think I am.
Now. Yeah.
Now you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. So Arta, you've got a your hand up. Maybe it relates.
Yes, just additional clarification to what Sari said. For details regarding the SHAPES project ethical baseline, applicants can refer to the deliverable D8.2, which is published on the portal of the SHAPES project. It gives you all the necessary information regarding how we deal with ethical issues in the project, and obviously applicants will have to comply with this type of rules. Now, from the point of view of the application, once the application is being submitted with all your ethical considerations addressed there, we might ask you for additional clarification. So Sari might come to you once again after you submit the proposals to clarify some things before we sign the contract with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to, sorry, Sari.
Sorry, I just say thank you, Artur, for clarifying the process.
Fantastic. Another question, do our proposed solutions have to be commercial? Now, our response to that is solutions do not need to be commercial. However, they need to demonstrate sufficient operational maturity for integration into the SHAPES marketplace and demonstrate potential for commercialization and sustainability. So, in other words, they don't need to be in the market yet, but there is a requirement for an exploitation strategy because this is not a research-only project. This is to support research and innovation with a view to whatever is funded actually making its way into the marketplace. There's another question which says, somebody's providing us, intends to provide a solution which offers a they've got a physical space and it's connected via digital sources. Does that apply? And the answer is yes. We are looking at physical scenarios. We are interested in what can be done within the built environment, within the home or within the wider neighborhood. And therefore, as long as there is some kind of interface trigger, it can be enabled, enhanced from a digital perspective. Artur is going to further clarify because he's the technical person on this.
Sorry, I'm all the time intervening. Just to give you an example, some of the solutions in the project, they are very physical, and we have partners providing, for example, robotic solutions or robots to help the elderly in their home environment. So obviously it shows that there are physical systems, but these physical systems need to be able to communicate with the SHAPES platform. So this is the main requirement, that physical solutions contain the digital interfaces so they can exchange information with other platforms and other devices. Thank you.
Artur, while I've got you there, there's a question. What do you mean by explain the overall concept underpinning the project?
All right. We would like to understand how your projects are gonna fit to what the objectives are in the SHAPES, how it fits to the overall methodology of the SHAPES project in terms of supporting the elderly environments, in terms of interoperability with other systems. So how this type of solution which you propose is going to contribute to this? How is going to be doing this interoperability? How is going to be fitting to the main objectives of the SHAPES project?
Thank you. And what deliverables are expected?
We are asking for similar deliverables in all the European projects, which means reports and prototypes. Obviously, one of the prototypes is going to be deployment of your or registration of your solutions in the marketplace. Other measurable, let's say, outcomes or results could be pieces of code or examples of code demonstrating interfacing with the SHAPES platform components. And obviously, the most important ones, based on which we have to justify to the Commission that actually you have done the work which you were supposed to do, are the reports. One of the most important is the final report, which is going to be submitted at the end of the project. which describes what you have produced in the project and on what this funding has been used for. We also ask for intermediate reports, some mid-time of the project, which are going to agree with the coordinator in the contract, based on which we'll be able to assess progress until this point, and based on which we're going to be able to send you the second part of the money.
Fantastic, thank you. Somebody's asking about the sharing of data, i.e. will a new solution have access to any data that correlates with the existing solutions that are part of the marketplace?
Okay, sharing of data is a very wide subject. If we are talking about data which is being stored on, let's say, IoT platform, we have this type of concept in the shapes, and our solutions, they exchange the data. There are certain mechanisms, obviously, which we implemented, which ensure the security of the data, they ensure the authorization to use the data, and so on. So you can look into these things through our deliverables. If we are talking about sharing of the code which we are going to develop, obviously, as I said before, we do not ask for disclosing your commercial confidential information regarding your solutions, but we ask that you open at least the examples which you have produced in the project. So other partners who would like to integrate your solution, for example, with their own solution or with the Shapes platform, will be able to follow these examples and achieve this type of integration.
And I think it's worth adding that whilst we fully recognize the critical nature of protecting IP and indeed data, the philosophy and the principles behind what we're trying to achieve with Shapes is in a spirit of open innovation. And we are looking to go beyond the grant period, which is post-October, to maintain an ecosystem of partners who are keen to collaborate and share. So this is part of the philosophy. It's not something that obviously we will dictate, but it is aspirational. A question regarding the Shapes marketplace, which is an interesting one. Is it exclusive to the winners of the competition, or is it open to all companies? Arthur.
Look, this open call is focusing on integration with the marketplace. So this is the necessary condition for being able to get the funding from this open call. But as I said, there is a second part, which after you integrate with the marketplace, the more you integrate with the other parts of the Shapes architecture, the higher you're going to get the score on the excellence. So that's as much as I can say.
Okay, so I don't think that's what the question actually relates to. Michael, I don't know if you're there and if you would like to answer it. Basically, the question here is if we don't apply, for example, but we're interested in joining the ecosystem, we want to be represented in the marketplace, is that a possibility? Michael, are you there? Calling Michael Cook. Right. We will move on and get back to you on that one because I can't officially answer. But we will address any questions that are in the chat or any questions that you subsequently put to us. The intent is to follow up on that regardless.
Can I just comment a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Before Michael comes and gives us the coordinator's final, let's say, point. First of all, you need to consider that all the components in the Shapes platform at this moment, they are still in development. So the marketplace at the moment is not a system which is fully developed and fully open. So at the moment, we are in the phase of integrating different solutions and evaluating possibilities of going to the market with this. So if there is another company which would like to integrate with the marketplace, you need to consider that it's not yet fully functional. And after the project completes and when the marketplace is fully finalized, then obviously it's going to offer the full capabilities and will be open to all the other organizations to take part in this.
Thank you. Somebody's asking about the use of a smartwatch with an Android app. How can that be connected to the Shapes marketplace? Do you have an answer for that?
For this, we need somebody from HMU to clarify.
Okay, if you've got a brief answer on that one, and then we'll take one more question before we close.
So hello, I can answer that.
Thank you.
So you can add your Android application to the Google Play or upload it as a purchasable file in the Shapes marketplace if you are willing to sell it. And you can reference either the Google Play application URL in the product that you will upload to the Shapes marketplace, or you can download the code directly to your Android, the APK file that is required to install in an Android application.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. And the last question that we're going to take is, our concept is content rather than tech driven, but can be enabled by a mobile application. Would this be eligible? You know, you can replace technological with digital. It is being enabled in a mobile context. So absolutely, yes, is the answer to that one. And I'm not going to, given that it's 1 minute to go and we've been very good with time, I'm not going to take another perspective on that one, Arta. We'll save that one. So I would like to thank everybody who has contributed today. We did receive quite a bit of, well, we had a lot of questions that had been asked, so we thought that we would pull something like this together. I would encourage you to take advantage of the partners that have offered to enhance and support your applications, Timu in particular, and Richard. You've got their contact details, and we really do welcome any of you who are looking to apply, and or if you have any questions that have not been asked here that you'd like to submit, we have provided the contact details, and if you don't have them, they're on the Shapes website. We will make the recordings available, and we, assuming that the speakers are willing to share their decks, will also do so there. I will just give Arta the last word, as he's put so much effort into this. Arta?
Yes, very shortly. First of all, we have published the frequently asked questions list on the Shapes portal. So please refer there to many of the questions you might have probably already answered. Secondly, we are doing our best to respond to questions which are being sent to us through the form, and common ones we are being also published in the frequently asked questions website. And lastly, please refer to the deliverables published by the project, because many of the information, especially technical ones, you can find in these deliverables. We are going to be opening and publishing more deliverables as they are being released by the Commission. They are reviewed, because we cannot do it before they are fully reviewed. So most of the answers you can find there. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will be updating the FAQs, especially following this meeting. So again, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.